Wood turning lathes, small, medium, large. What size is the right size lathe for you? When I say small, medium, and large, what I'm talking about is the small lathe or the mini lathe, which you would find on a benchtop or desktop, the Midi lathe, which could be on a benchtop, but probably on a stand somewhere, and the big boys here, the full-size lathe that you'd find in a professional setting. So let's start small, literally, the mini lathe. The biggest consideration to make when choosing something like this over the others is footprint, the space that it takes up in your shop. And if that's your biggest concern, this probably is the best choice for you. The smaller lathe typically has less horsepower, which is a pro to a new turner because if something does go wrong, it's not usually as violent comparatively to these other machines. But that doesn't mean that you should not be using your face shield or other protective equipment because you definitely need to be doing that. Another good reason to choose something like the mini lathe is its portability. If you need to move it for any reason, you can quite literally just pick it up and move it around. It's not easy, but it's significantly easier than one of these guys. And the last one is affordability. These are usually significantly cheaper than the other two options, but be careful with making that your biggest factor when making a choice, and I'll explain why in just a little bit. We should probably talk about cons, which really isn't a con, but it's more limitations of machines like this. And that is the swing distance and the distance between centers. For example, on this machine, it's a 10 by 18. That means that the biggest bowl that you could turn on this machine is a 10-inch diameter bowl. And the longest spindle that you could make on a machine like this is 18 inches. And if your aspirations are a little bit bigger than that, then maybe this machine isn't the right choice for you. Another thing to consider is weight. These machines really don't weigh a lot. So if you're turning something with a lot of mass, it can cause vibrations and create some issues for you. So the final thoughts on mini lathes, it's great for the beginning turner or somebody who just wants to focus on making small things like pepper mills, pens, ornaments, handles. But if you do catch a turning bug, then you may find that a mini lathe may not scale with your ambitions. Now we move into the medium-sized lathe, or the midi lathe as they're actually called. This is sort of the Goldilocks zone of the lathe world. It's not too small and it's not too big, but with that increased size, you get some big benefits. You get more weight, which means less vibrations, but also you get a bigger motor, which means more power and more ability to turn bigger things. But you still have to pay attention to your dimensions. This machine in particular has 16 inches in between centers, which sounds like a downgrade, but because it is a midi lathe, there's a lot more add-ons for this machine over something like the mini lathe. As an example, we have things like this bed extension, which takes this machine from 16 inches between centers all the way up to 24. This light and even the stand is an add-on. We should probably talk about some of the cons of this machine. Again, they're not really cons, just things to consider. Physical size. It is one, heavier, so it's a lot harder to move, and it just takes up a lot more room in the shop. And with a step up in size, there's of course a step up in cost. With the bigger size and more power, that probably means you're gonna be turning some bigger things. Just remember to be safe. To sum up midi lathes, you get more power, more capacity, and more add-ons. So if you know that you already like turning, then the midi lathe could be the perfect size for you. Now we're on to the bigger guys. It probably goes without saying, but we have even more power, even more capacity, but with that comes even more quality over the other machines. Really, this machine is for the pro turners, and some of the things that you're gonna notice are the little things, like the little cubby here, or the spindle lock, and the remote power switch and speed controller, and this thing is just gonna handle everything that you can throw at it. 900 horsepower, twin turbo. And the cons of this machine? The obvious, it's big. You're not going to be moving this machine. And also, this machine is 220 volts, so if you're shopping for a lathe, then that's something you definitely need to consider. Now, obviously, this isn't about which lathe is the best. It's not my place to answer that for you. Each lathe has its place. I will leave you with this. Be honest with your goals, be honest with your space limitation, and be honest with your budget. And if you're ready to make your choice or to learn more, then stop by your local Woodcraft or visit us online at woodcraft.com. I'll see you in the next video.